And now, let's keep it going for our third storyteller of the evening, Sivan Schondorf.
Sorry, I know I'm not supposed to touch this. Okay. I'm a grandchild of 3 Holocaust survivors. So growing up, my identity, it wasn't just about being Jewish, but a lot of that Holocaust trauma was intertwined in how I saw myself and how I saw my family and how we carried on our traditions. And when I was a very, very little girl, my aunt got married to a non-Jewish man. And that was hard for my family at first because we thought she'd be giving up her traditions and it was so important to us. But we thought, okay, well, I didn't, I was little, but my parents thought, okay, she can carry on the traditions still. And we were able to accept it and move on. And when I was a little bit older, before my aunt and uncle had kids, they decided to renew their vows. And that's when they asked to have the family all come over to their house. And they asked to use my dad's talit, which is a prayer shawl that I think he used at his wedding when he got married to my mom. And they were using that for their chuppah, which is the wedding canopy that a lot of different cultures use. And so we all went to the ceremony, and the rabbi was doing his usual blessings and saying, oh, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, which is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then he inserted, V'yeshu. And not many people in my family spoke Hebrew, but my parents did, and a few others did. And they were like, what? Yeshu? That's Jesus. So, okay, the ceremony went on a little more, and it was like, again, Avraham, and then it got to Yeshu. And that's when my parents went, what is going on? And they stopped the ceremony because for those of you that don't know, Yeshu is Jesus. And once you insert Jesus into the story, it ain't so Jewish anymore. So that's kind of when everything fell apart at that ceremony. And my grandmother was one of the ones holding up the wedding canopy, the chuppah, with a pole. And while my parents and some of my aunts and uncles were yelling at my aunts and uncle, and my uncle, his family was Southern Baptist, they're just sitting there going, I don't know what's going on. My grandma was from the old times, and she was a swooner, and she fainted, and the whole canopy fell down onto everyone that was under it. And I was still young, so I have very vivid memories of yelling. And my grandmother's face was stained black because her mascara was running all over the place. This was probably before waterproof mascara. And then we all, on my mom's side of the family, we all abruptly left. And this event, it really rocked my family for decades. This wasn't a renewal of vows, as you understand. It was a conversion. And when I grew up, because of this, it created a rift in my family with my cousins, and I wasn't as close with my cousins. And that was because I was judging them. I felt like I am a grandchild of Holocaust survivors, and my grandparents went through so much to survive because they were Jewish. And so many of our relatives died because of who they were. And then you come here in this country and you have freedom and you throw it away. And granted, it wasn't my cousin's fault. That's how they were born into this different religion. They were, I forgot to say, they were Messianic Jews is what they call themselves. And some people call that Jews for Jesus. And so, there's a little controversy on the title. But my grandmother, the one who was the most spiritual and the most religious of all of us, she was the one that was able to move on and accept them for who they were. Because above all, she knew that she loved all her children equally and all of her grandchildren equally, and she always said that. She was the one that kept the Sabbath. She lived in Israel over a number of decades, on and off. And to her, she was able to see that the most important thing was love. But I wasn't. I was angry about it. And then about 5 years ago, my cousin, one of the ones who is from this Messianic family, she was diagnosed with a very rare and very aggressive cancer. And more recently, she was told that her cancer had come back and has also metastasized. And when she talks about God and about hope that she has for what's beyond, in the past I would have cringed. I would have been sickened. I would have judged. But now I feel like maybe this all happened for a reason, because she has so much hope. And she feels like this helps her reduce her fear. And so in the end, all that really matters is the lessons that, and the model that my grandmother was, that all that matters is that she loved her grandchildren and her children, and that as a family, instead of judging each other, we love each other, accept each other. It doesn't matter that I light a menorah and they have a lighted Christmas tree. Because in the end, what matters is that we're good to each other. Because if we can't be good to each other, how can we be good in this world? Thank you.